there's so much transactional stuff out there.
It's funny because I've been talking about that to a friend of mine for about a year now, that I struggle with people who have transactional friendships.
Right.
Or, people that have transactional relationships. And I know that I have them as well, and that there is a place for them, but that the people in my life that are not a transactional friendship or transactional relationship, I need to invest more time and energy and caring into.
From the business capital of the world, the Big Apple, New York's Middle Tennessee, it says here.
Yeah.
Sounds riveting. This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals. Mostly.
Yes. Thank you to my opinionated voice guy, Mr. Matt Wilson. Check his podcast out. Mostly Marketing. He does a great job with that. A name of which I may have borrowed a few things for this podcast. Yes, this is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, formerly known as the What's Your Problem Podcast. It is a podcast for Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals. We talk about their stories, their origins, their challenges, struggles, and triumphs. Check us out. This is a video and audio podcast. Go to MMTBP.com, otherwise known as Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.com, which is a mouthful. So I've truncated it. Big word. Look it up. MMTBP.com. Of course, I'm dieting. Well, not dieting. I'm changing my lifestyle and how I eat. So that involves a lot of chocolate protein shakes, which affect your voice. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, with JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com. And if it sounds like right now, if you want a really raspy read, I can do it for you. And of course, it'syourshow.co. If you want a podcast like this, check us out, reach out, and we'll make sure we can accommodate your needs and tell you what you need to do and not do. So moving on, today have got a good friend of mine, known her since 2005.
Almost 19 years.
I know.
Yeah.
That's almost 19 years.
Yeah.
You've been through house buying with us. You've been through us creating a family, hospital visits.
Me buying houses, divorces.
How many houses have you bought?
Only 2.
Yeah.
But
I guess I should say who you are.
I mean, we know each other, so I assume that everybody knows us.
I know. Sherri Hildreth.
Hi.
Who is the area's premier hairstylist, hairdresser. Is that not a good term, hairdresser, or is that kind of, you just expect people to call you that?
I mean, I'm good with either one. I mean, when I started doing hair back in the, dinosaur ages, people called them beauty operators.
Beautician. Is that not beauty operator?
Yes.
Really?
The older women who were closer to retiring in the first salon that I worked at, that did the shampoos and sets 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, were called beauty operators.
Do you have a beauty parlor, as it were?
I have a hair salon.
A hair salon?
I do.
You don't want to call it a parlor? What is a parlor?
I don't know.
You should put you have the little thing outside that indicates it's a barbershop, the barber.
I do not have the little spinny post.
What is that thing called?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
But I mean, what makes a barber different than what you do? Is it mostly for men barbers?
I mean, I can give you the technical answer for that. And
sure.
That's barbers are licensed to use straight blade razors on the skin.
Oh, really?
And that's an additional little bit of hours that you have to learn how to do that that you have to take to learn how to do that safely.
That's a sharp blade.
It is a sharp blade.
I do get my face shaved every now and then. That is my indulgence day.
It is a fabulous indulgence.
It really is. Mm-hmm. I enjoy it. So we're going to get on, before we get into all things we're going to get into all things Dad Joke Challenge.
Yes.
Which you don't have to know the jokes. Ed Fox tells the jokes. He's the actual sponsor. He owns a company called Trade Bank of Nashville. So, Sherri, if you wanted to trade some of your services, you know the costs of those services for your materials and your labor and all that fun stuff. If things got slow, God forbid, you could actually engage in trade and use trade as a means to keep your business afloat and even get some sustaining things from other businesses, maybe a corporate trip or vacations. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there, coffee shops. Ed does a great job of populating what I call an alternate economy based on barter.
That's fantastic. I love the barter system. I think that's a fantastic fantastic idea.
Because barter can sometimes be smarter,
Absolutely.
as he says. And he does all the dad jokes because he is a dad joke aficionado. If you need somebody to, oh man, I completely lost frame of mind here. If you want to meet him for coffee, he will totally be up for it.
Okay.
He's a great guy. And anybody who's interested in meeting Ed, I think you should reach out. But the dad joke challenge is as follows. You get a point if I laugh. I get a point if you laugh.
Okay.
All right? I have no idea what the jokes are. There are 5 of them.
Okay.
Here we go.
What do pigs put on their cuts? Ointment.
You're about to crack up. I see it.
It was
Almost
close.
there.
Almost.
You can groan. You can make comments. It's okay. Number 2.
Do you hear about the fire at the circus? It was intense.
Intense. His circus is intense. You're about to laugh.
Yeah, that one was pretty cheesy.
Score for me. Nothing here. Okay.
Man, 2 silkworms had a race. Ended up a tie.
Silk. Yes.
Yep.
They made a tie. Number 4.
What do you get if you divide the circumference of a pumpkin by its diameter? Why, pumpkin pie, of course.
I saw that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, pumpkin pie. These are the jokes you're going to be able to use this weekend. You'll be the life of the party.
Absolutely. I love a good dad joke.
That's right. Number 5, and we're after this. That's it.
Hey, what did one snowman say to the other? Do you smell carrots?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
I win.
You get that one. I love a dad joke.
I always say, if you're familiar with Stephen Wright from back in the day, he pretty much was the originator of the dad joke.
Yeah.
And everybody loved that dry, witty,
Absolutely.
pun
If it makes you groan and then laugh, it's
Right.
fabulous.
Right. Everybody kind of wonders about the dad joke challenge, and they realize, well, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, anyway, check him out. All the details are in the description. Ed Fox, Trade Bank of Nashville, for all your bartering needs. Check him out. And of course, like I said, hit him up. You can find him on LinkedIn and everything. And I think you can find him through the links I post. You could actually, he'll totally grab lunch or coffee or something with you. He's a great guy to know. And he has that Aussie accent, as you could hear. So, getting into all things you.
All things me.
What spurred this career of yours? What were kind of like your upbringings, and what opportunities did you have? Because you came from the Great White North.
I did. I came
Yeah.
from northern Wisconsin.
That's right.
I actually ended up going to beauty school because I ran my mouth, and I tend to do that a lot. And
Right.
But if I do it, then I'm going to back it up. And so I was working with someone that was inherently the laziest human being I'd ever met in my life. And they were changing our hours at work, and she didn't want to work those hours. And so she said, let's go back to school. And because she was a lazy person, I was like, oh yeah, if you go, I'll go. And then 5 days later, we started beauty school, and I was like, well, now I'm in it. And
So you did it on kind of like a
almost like a dare.
blinking contest.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see who blinks first.
Right.
That's
Playing
how this whole
chicken
thing
with my career.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. How old were you?
19.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're trying stuff out.
Right. And
It'd be
then
weird if you did it at 30 or 35.
I mean, but I wouldn't put it past somebody. I mean, if you try something new and it works for you, why not?
And it's amazing because here we are 20 some odd years later, and you're amazing at it. It was like you just kind of haphazardly stepped into something that fits magically, amazingly.
Absolutely. And even the first 5 years that I was doing hair, I was going back to school trying to get a degree in business because I really thought this was what I was going to do until I got a big girl job.
Right.
And then 5 years into it, I was making good money and I had a great schedule, and it was my big girl job. I mean, at one point I had even put my notice in and was going to quit and go into another industry. And
what industry was that?
it was still a busy beauty industry, but I was going to be a rep for a cosmetics line.
Is that the one that we both know?
No.
Okay, different one.
It was in my early 20s before I moved down here.
Okay.
And, I was terrible at doing hair because I was brand new and still learning, and very frustrated and wanted to give up. And so, I put my notice in at the salon and had accepted a job and all of that. And my clients came in my last day and they were like, absolutely not.
Right.
So I stuck with it, and it's been almost 24 years now. So,
I mean, did you ever have doubts in your mind? Like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be doing this. Do I like doing this?
absolutely. I mean, there's even, one day a year that goes absolutely horrifically wrong. And I'm like, oh, I need a new job. I'm too old for this.
Right.
I can't keep up with the trends, whatever that looks like. But, everybody has those days. And then you pick it up and move on the next day.
Is that a big part of it? Keeping up with, do certain trends recycle? I mean,
yes, trends
are
very
there
much
infinite
recycle.
things you can do with hair pretty much?
Yeah. Once you have the basics down, yes. There's, there are definitely very structured rules in how to do hair. And then everything on top of that is the details, and learning how to provide the details in a way that sets your work apart is really what it's all about.
Right. But you didn't branch out on your own in your own business. Well, in this business, you can work for a salon that's owned by somebody else, but you have to rent the chair. Is that
Correct.
typically how it's done?
So there's kind of 3 different levels. You can work for a salon that provides commission.
Yeah.
So you make a percentage of whatever you bring in. And then there are salons that rent chairs out. So you're in a big salon, but you're renting just your specific space. And then there's complete self-employment, where you have a salon of your own or a suite of your own.
That's what you're doing now?
Yes.
So did you start doing the commission thing at first?
I did.
Is that
yeah.
like the apprenticeship journeyman level kind of?
It is, but it also was kind of the standard up until probably the last 5 years or so,
Right.
that you worked in a commission salon and worked your way up through getting higher commissions and charging more money and all of that. But that was the standard up until, like I said, the last 5 to 7 years, where it's kind of shifted more towards self-employment for established stylists. Excuse me.
That's fine.
So yeah, now it's more. I almost feel like, and I could be wrong on this, but you go to a commission salon to kind of pay your dues, learn your skills, make your mistakes, figure out what your style is, and then once you're established and fully booked and all of that, people tend to go into a booth rental or salon rental situation.
So learning the fundamentals and finding your voice, so to speak, which is stuff that I talk about with voiceover and podcasting. You got to understand the fundamentals of what a voiceover is, and even with podcasting, being a host and interviewer and things of that nature, understanding your quirks, your verbal crutches, things like tics and things like that,
Absolutely.
But how long does it take for you? Did it take for you to graduate from a commission structure to just you kind of renting the chair? How long was that season?
That was a long season for me because I started so many years ago, and self-employment didn't really become a thing in this industry. I've been on my own or renting a chair or my own space since 2018.
Oh, really? So you were doing it for 13 years when we knew you.
Yeah. I was doing it 18, 19 years total. And then as I got to a place where there wasn't a whole lot more of expansion available for me where I was, moved on to something that was a little bit, provided me a little bit more freedom. Just
out of curiosity, was 2018 the year that you turned that scary age that we all turn, that we think
it was
is scary?
Not. 2020 was the year I turned the scary age.
But right around that area, it was that's interesting, because you were 38.
Yep.
Now that I just revealed your age. That's interesting, because I have a theory that people's lives take a shift around that age.
So I have a theory that it happens at 37.
Well, I think it begins.
Yes.
It did for me at 37.
Yeah.
That's for
Where
sure.
being balanced in your career and the life that you have outside of it becomes more important than kind of climbing that ladder to hit all of these benchmarks, that when you get there, you're still exhausted and you're still overwhelmed and you're just searching for the next one. And at that age was when I started being like, you know what? I want to go run a Tough Mudder. I want to spend time with my family. I want to be able to travel and do all of these things. So that's when I started shifting into being on my own, doing my own thing.
Was it scary?
Terrifying.
Really?
Yes.
But how long did that last? And did you, after you realized it wasn't so bad, did you say, crap, I should have done this?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So terrifying was the first 4 weeks. And I tell any commission stylist who comes to me, because I mentor a lot of stylists and things, and when they come to me about making the shift, that week 3 is the scariest week when you move out onto your own, because the first week you're in chaos. Like your insides are like, they're melting. You can't figure out how much product do I need to buy? Have I missed getting a hold of anybody? All of that fun stuff. And so the first week or two you spend doing that. And then the third week's quiet. And your 4-week clients haven't come in for their appointments or found you yet. You've done the switch of the beginning of people, but there's that third week where it was really quiet. And I was so scared. I signed up to drive for a rideshare company. And fortunately, by the time the appointment came to have my car inspected, because you had to have your vehicle inspected to make sure it was safe, I was into the 4th week and all of a sudden was booked right back up to where I had been and everything was fine.
Right.
And then it was, I should have done this years ago.
Right.
But that third week of being on your own is terrifying. Absolutely.
But I mean, did you have at least a buffer saved up to kind of weather?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did. It was a switch that I had been planning on making for a few months. So I had a little bit built up that I could count on, but it was also I'm somebody who's very like structured in making sure that all of that stuff's taken care of. And if week 3 is an indicator of how this is going to be in the future, what am I going to do?
Right.
Do I need a backup? Which I didn't, thankfully, but
even when you make that shift, are you not allowed to reach out to your current clientele?
So, no.
Okay. So you have to leave and it's up to them to find you.
Yeah.
Really?
The place that I left had kind of rules where you weren't supposed to associate with your clients outside of work. They weren't supposed to have your phone number.
Right.
You shouldn't be friends on social media, all of that kind of thing. And I found that in commission salons in the South, that tends to be the salons consider the clients the salon's clients and not necessarily the stylist clients.
Right.
And so we weren't supposed to be reaching out to people or telling people where we were going or what we were doing. So yeah, I found that really weird when I moved here because that's not the way it is up north.
Right.
Up north, there's enough to go around, and the salon celebrates.
Should be enough to go around here.
There is. Everybody's hair grows.
Yeah.
And everybody wants what they don't have.
Right.
So yeah.
So getting out onto your own, how are people finding out about you? Your existing customer base.
My existing customer base, I got tons of text messages and brand new Facebook friends and phone calls and it was funny because I received a lot of new clients off of my shift because I had clients who were talking about trying to find me, and that my stylist moved and I didn't have her phone number, so I had to find her on social media and yada yada yada. Well, your hair looks great. Who do you go to? Does she have room for more people?
Right.
So it ended up being even a bigger boost for me than I anticipated. But yeah, it was a scary little time.
But you got through it.
Absolutely.
You remember, I don't know if you were really present with us when I had to go through my period.
I think me and Court were like definitely still engaging, but we go through times where I see you guys all the time and then I don't see you guys forever.
I know.
So
we got to fix that.
I know. We live a mile apart.
Hey, Middle Tennessee electricians, handy women and men, and just those of you needing better commercial LED lighting solutions. Yeah, I know, there's so many of you. I have to tell you, there's another option than just the big orange and blue box stores now. Try j2lighting.com. At j2lighting.com, we have the latest technology in all types of commercial LED lighting, from UFO high base, drawers, area lights, and shoeboxes, right on down to a slimline wall pack that doesn't look like a fist coming off the wall like most other wall packs do. You get what I'm saying, right? Many of our fixtures are wattage and color temperature selectable, which means you have more control over the brightness and appearance in your dark spaces. Check us out at j2lighting.com for a great local source for your commercial LED lighting ideas, even full color light show dreams. Yeah, totally. That's the letter J and number 2 lighting.com. j2lighting.com. Why do we not hang out more?
I don't know.
Is it me? Is it something that I do? Do I smell?
It's me.
Yeah.
I'm the problem. It's me.
You're busy.
Yeah.
See, that's what kind of happened with us. And just for those of you who don't know, Sherri and my wife are great friends. Mm-hmm. And first and foremost, we're friends through a salon you both worked at.
Yep.
My wife was a massage therapist there. Mm-hmm. And we've stayed, you've been like an extension of the family ever since.
Absolutely.
Through thick and thin, man.
Yes.
I mean, you even, you went through a divorce at one point with Mr. Ken.
With Mr. Ken.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're still on good terms with him, though.
Absolutely. He's a wonderful human being.
And then, was that different for you as well? Kind of that whole time of life, or you're still working commission at that point?
I was still working commission at that point, and that was a chaotic time of life.
Yeah.
I was working full time, and I was running karaoke at the time 4 or 5 nights a week, and playing in a band, and life was crazy and busy, and there wasn't a whole lot of time to process anything or to stay close in the connections that I had, because it was just kind of trying to figure out what was next.
Right. So you're very your ambition is quite notable.
You're relentless.
I mean, if you had to go back and tell yourself in 2005 when we all met that you'd have your own place up in Franklin, and let alone it's influential, it's a a beacon of sorts. I mean, would you be like, you're out of your mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you come from an entrepreneurial background at all?
No, I think that my mother gave me a fantastic work ethic.
Yeah.
My sister has it too, my brother too. And so being financially independent and having a career that was important to me and that I loved, instead of having just to trudge through work every single day, has always been important. No, absolutely. I did not think that this was going to be where I was going to end up.
Right.
Back in 2005.
But I mean, even up in your upbringing, what was, if you had stayed up there, what was going to be the path for you? Was there more opportunity down here than up there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm from a really small town. The closest city has less than 30,000 people in it. And, I loved the place that I worked up there. I still go see them on occasion when I get up there.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of growth in general up there. So, I don't think that I would have had the opportunities up there or the network up there or anything that I do down here to be in the position that I'm in now.
What are some of the key takeaways you've learned? Because I would imagine when you made the jump, the amount of knowledge, the amount of wisdom that you've gained must have been tremendous.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the takeaways in the last 5-6 years that really stand out for you? Like I said, learning to balance my life. The first lady that I rented a chair from, her name's Lisa, and she's a wonderful human being. And I vividly remember having a night, it was in November, and her and I were the last ones in the salon. And, she asked me how I was doing. And I said, I can't wait till January. In January, I'm going to go down to 4 days a week, because at that point in time, I was working 10 to 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I'm going to go down to 4 days a week and hope that, I can manage it with my clientele and all of that. And she said, you need to do that tomorrow. Yeah.
And I was like, are you crazy? What? Like, why? And she said, stylists need 3 days off a week. You need a day to manage your house. You need a day to run your errands. And you need a day to recover from taking on everybody's emotions that you've taken on all week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because
you're like a therapist.
Right. Everybody that walks in unloads everything, good, bad, ugly, sad, tragic, funny, all of it.
Now that they're watching this, do you want them to stop?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Oh my gosh, Jim, it's such a dirge.
Right? No, Sarah, and I think she was on here a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
She was in one
Bread
day.
lady.
The bread lady, yes.
Yeah.
She was in one day, and she gave me my favorite compliment I've ever had in my whole entire life about my salon itself. And she was like, I love coming into this place. She's like, it's like steel magnolias with cussing and tequila. And I was like, I love that. I love that people feel like they can come in and be comfortable where they're at in life.
There's something about getting your hair cut and just kvetching, just pontificating, philosophizing, if that's even a word, because barbershops were centers for that too.
Absolutely. And I think that it's a place where, for whatever the period of time that you're there is, there's nothing else on the planet that you really can do.
Yeah.
Unless you're bringing a laptop in and answering emails and things like that. Otherwise, this is your space to take care of yourself.
Right.
And that's
you're forced. You can't even look at your phone.
Right. You got to hold your head still.
I go to Louis Barber for my haircuts now that I have hair again.
It's so weird that you have hair.
Is it weird?
It is.
I mean, because you knew me when I had a kind of a buzz cut. That's what I was doing back then.
You had it forever.
And then I shaved it completely bald.
Right. And it's good hair. Like, it looks nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
I know.
I don't know what else I need to be doing with it.
I mean,
I've been using the pomade. Is that what it's called?
good. I mean, pomade or paste or clay, there's
Right.
a bunch of options.
The gel is a bit much.
The gel is a bit crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look like I have a bulletproof head if I apply the gel.
1998 came back and they want their hair.
98, 88, 78. Gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, it's crazy to even say how just the social influence. Now at Louise Barber, I have no idea what they're saying. So, because they're speaking different languages.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't really get that effect of engaging in conversation of, whatever the topic may be.
Interesting. I feel like that would be difficult.
I mean, I don't know what I'm missing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I feel like that when I get my nails done, but also I don't sit still often. So I'm typically trying to not fall asleep because I've sat still for 10 minutes. So,
I mean, is there a toll it takes on your body after a time? You're using the hands a lot and everything.
Yeah, but I mean, if you take care of yourself, I work out and I've taken a lot of classes on how to hold my body properly so that I'm not dealing with carpal tunnel and I'm not dealing with bad knees and a bad back. I have good mats underneath my chairs. I work in tennis shoes every single day. I'm not one of those hairdressers that ever is in heels or any of that.
What is up with that? Is that just an image thing?
I feel like it's an image thing, or it's a kind of a influence thing. You know where you want to project what you want to attract.
Yeah,
which I totally understand. But I'm old, and I want to be able to continue to work. So,
because if you're old, that means I'm old.
I know. Because aren't you 4 years older than me?
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm not old.
Okay, fair. Yeah. Then I'm a baby.
You're so not old. You have a lot of people that look up to you. Mm-hmm. You've become an influence in that sphere, and you attract a lot of talent, potential talent in the sphere, correct?
Yes.
How does that work as well? You get a lot of people hitting you up that want to come under your wing.
Yeah, and it's fun because I've got a new assistant. She's been with me for about 6 months, and I have an intern now who is in college taking business classes, but her end goal is to own salons. So she comes and shadows a couple of days a week. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to help make the dots connect for people who haven't gone through all of the things and don't see the end goal yet.
Right.
So I love it. It's fantastic. And I travel around and teach hair color classes and product knowledge classes and all of that all over the place. And even this weekend on Saturday, I drove up to Cookeville and had a class and loved it. And
Tennessee Tech?
No, it was in a salon. I primarily in salons teaching the line that I carry.
Just out of curiosity, was a salon off of a trampoline jump park place?
It was not.
Okay. We have a job going in at a trampoline amusement park.
That's fun.
And there's a salon next to it.
Okay.
So we always walked next to it, and I was like, oh, look at that, a salon.
Yeah.
It's the only salon in Cookeville. Clarksville or Cookeville?
Cookeville.
Oh, yeah. That's where we were.
Yep.
You talk about business acumen and going to, getting a business degree. What were some of the things that you had to learn over the years, and was there mentors that came alongside you that helped with that as far as reading financials and how to do things?
There wasn't a whole lot of people people specifically that I interacted with. There were classes that I took lots of notes on. I took a financial stability for hairdressers from another hairdresser. I call us hairdressers too. I just realized that.
Right.
That, she gave a lot of super great tips on, how to find the right financial advisor and how to find the right person that knows how to work with self-employed hairstylists,
right,
because it is its own beast. So, yeah, but there wasn't a whole lot of, and that's part of why I like having assistants and bringing in new people and coaching new people now, is because that's also not what's taught when you're in beauty school.
Right.
It's briefly touched on, but it's not something that they deep dive into, managing your own inventory and making sure that you're, following how much color you're using so that you're refilling it properly and all. Like, none of that, that's kind of trial and error unless somebody tells you. So
how long do you have to go in before you think you're competent enough to do your own thing? Say 5 years?
I would say 5 years.
Yeah.
So statistically speaking, a stylist straight out of school, if they assist for 1 year, then by the time they hit the third year, they're about 80% booked.
Right.
And you want to be able to consistently stay 80% booked for 90 days at a time before you're in a position to confidently be able to go out on your own and sustain a consistent income.
There's an element of businesses I've worked for over the years, managers more specifically, and a lot of them would have their philosophies on how they would operate. A lot of them would be what I call, there's two different types of leaders. Ones that will be, their people will take a bullet for, and the other will get killed in friendly fire. From the people the bad managers, I've learned in our business to kind of break the cycle, not repeat what they did. What kind of things can you kind of like tell people? What cycles have you broken? Like, for example, just even, don't share customer bases. You're not taking them with you, non-compete kind of stuff. Do you adhere to that as well?
I don't. If somebody comes to see you in my salon and they love you and you're giving them exactly what they want, they deserve the ability to continue to have that.
Right.
I had a couple of very bad managers that I'm super thankful for. Like, I feel like they probably taught me more about who I wanted to be than anyone else.
They showed you what not to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how not to appreciate people, how to make people feel valued and make people feel like their life outside of those doors are important.
Right.
Because that was something that I struggled with the last place that I worked, was that we didn't feel as though anything was important outside of what was happening in the salon. So, yeah, I think I'm probably more grateful for them than I am for the great managers who taught me how to love people.
Right. Yeah. Create a culture of a healthy culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus one that's, fear-based.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
We all have.
What other business acumen have you kind of gleaned that you're surprised that you know now?
Oh boy. I don't even know. I know the
you
things.
Do your own books? You have someone that does it for
I have
you?
someone that does it for me.
Yeah.
I don't like the tedium of any of that. I don't like the operation side of it at all, which works out really well for me that my assistant and my intern both are better at that than I am.
Right.
My intern, she's wonderful. She came in and redid all of my spreadsheets for my inventory and got the master lists from corporate so that I knew what was missing, or she figured out what was missing so I could get it in. And I think that that's super helpful too, because I'm learning from her as much as she's learning from me, but I'm also learning to trust the people in my space that have the ability to do things I don't want to do or I'm not able to do. And
you're surrounding yourself with the people who know how.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You don't do much social media.
I don't.
It's all word of mouth.
It's all word of mouth.
Which I guess is how all these businesses are built. Even most of the trades are done that way.
I think so. I think, and I'm very fortunate to be in a position where word of mouth has provided me an amazing career. I have fantastic contacts and fantastic friends. And thousands of pictures on my phone that I should be putting on. So I have great intentions and terrible follow through with it. But I think that going to a place based on what you see on social media is going for a vibe versus the talent and skill available to you. Because as a hairstylist, I know that I can make anything look good for a picture.
Right.
Even if I completely mess it up, I can curl it or wave it or style it or do something to make it look the way that I want it to look. I'm very big on, does it still look good that your next appointment, when you come back and you just need it refreshed, you should still be happy with it.
Right.
Right. And
not just a one and done.
No. And not just something you can live with for 3 weeks and at 4 you're dying to get in, but at 4 weeks, I need my roots done, but it still looks good. It's still doing what I want it to.
Now, are the kids, the younger people that are getting into it,
I call mine the kids.
Right. But you've got an intern and an assistant, one of whom is going to college for business. Any particular reason why? Are you finding a different attitude towards trades today than 20 years ago?
It's funny because it's kind of 50-50. Even I had a doctor's appointment early this morning and she said, her and I were just chatting back and forth. She's been my doctor forever. She's like, I think my younger daughter is going to be a stylist.
Yeah.
And she's like, as long as she finds something she loves, I love that for her. And I was like, good for you.
Because there was a stigma that went along with it.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
Years.
And there still is to a point.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of one of those fun things that I appreciate that people underestimate the intelligence of hairdressers.
Right.
Because realistically, because we spend so much time with people and we spend so much time involved in people's emotions and self-worth, that we have more influence over people than the stigma allows for. And I think that's hilarious.
Is that the stigma? Is that there was a lack of intelligence?
Oh, yeah. Because back in, the 50s and 60s, if you didn't go to college as a female, you were going to be a secretary or a hairdresser.
Right.
And that was kind of what you did if you couldn't make it. And now in 2023, you can do it and, work 4 days a week and have a fantastic life outside of there and still be able to maintain, what you want out of your career and your life.
Now, moving forward, what is it that you want to do? What does this business look like in 10 years?
So for me, what it looks like in 10 years is I recently built out the space next door to mine.
Yeah.
I teach a lot, like I said, I teach a lot of classes, and this trend towards self-employment has been wonderful. But when I'm teaching classes in salon suites or at our showroom where people who are self-employed and working by themselves will come together for classes, I'm hearing a lot of, they love being self-employed. They don't like being alone.
Right.
They miss the coworkers and the fun of
the team
and the clients and the joking and the laughing and having somebody to bounce ideas off, or, does this look good? What do you think of this toner? All of those questions that when you're in a room by yourself, you don't have anyone to ask. And so I built out the space next door to mine and put 3 chairs in there. And I'm actively looking for a couple of people who are self-employed and miss their coworkers.
Yeah.
And want to grab their 2 favorite, because we all have them. We all have our favorite people that we've ever worked with that, if I could bring them back in, there's 2 of them for me personally, that if I could bring them back in and work with them for the rest of my life, I'd be perfectly happy.
Right.
And so I built out a space to help somebody else do that, because I feel like that's important.
Does that feel like that first season of going into self-employment on your own?
It does.
Because there's a little
bit.
risk.
There is a little risk, yeah.
Expand, you're paying for that space.
Yes, had to buy all the furniture and pay the rent and do all the things.
Yeah.
And it's a little scary, but it's also, I very, very firmly believe that that's what I was supposed to do next now.
Right.
I was very unsure at the beginning.
It's scary, but not as scary.
Right. And it's still manageable.
You're used to scary at this point.
I like scary a little
Yeah,
bit.
you've dove into the deep end of the pool and it was okay.
Yeah.
And now you're diving again, but it's a little, I could touch bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's, that's how I ended up doing hair, and that's how I ended up living in Tennessee, and that's how I ended up working by myself. Like, I like being a little scared. I work better in chaos.
Are there a lot of people from back home that look at you and go, they looked at your decisions at the time and go, you're nuts. And now they see it and they go, oh man.
Oh yeah.
Really? Does that happen?
Yeah. I feel like it was, like, my family was super, super supportive of me moving.
Yeah.
But they were also like,
we'll see you in a couple of years.
Right. Like, go do your thing and we'll see you when you get home, kind of thing. And, right. 19 years later. And now, like, number one, and I think it's the most hilarious thing on the planet, is that I'm the halfway point, essentially, between home and Disney. And so I get a lot of family visiting on their way to Florida for spring break or for family trips and things like that, which is great.
Yeah.
But also I get a lot of, my mom's like, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe that you did this and that you're still rocking it and you're still loving it and all that.
Well, you're also like a shining example of, hey, if you kind of go out on that limb,
right,
it'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a little harrowing at times, but taking the risk on the other side of fear is a lot of reward.
Absolutely. And I am super fortunate that, I have a very, very large family that's very, very supportive. And so there has always been, even, building out this second space, there's always been this thing of, they're not going to let me fail.
Yeah.
If I need them, if I fall, if I, whatever I need, they're going to be there to pick me up and cheer me on and dust me off and all of the things. And that's any one of them. I could call an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, whomever, and all of them are behind me. So,
your family.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, of course, you got us too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You do. You're relationships run deep.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's kudos to you.
Thanks.
That's definitely a feather in your cap because there's so much transactional stuff out there.
It's funny because I've been talking about that to a friend of mine for about a year now, that I struggle with people who have transactional friendships.
Right.
Or, people that have transactional relationships. And I know that I have them as well and that there is a place for them, but that the people in my life that are not a transactional friendship or transactional relationship, I need to invest more time and energy and caring into.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about self-care as a service approach? Like what if instead of it being a buy, sell type of thing, maybe it's a subscription. You ever think about how do you innovate this space?
So there's been a little bit of that's kind of rumblings of it around our industry. Like I knew a stylist a few years ago who had essentially a membership. And so his clients paid X amount of dollars a month, and I don't know what it was, but it covered whatever their service was for the year. And I think that that's fantastic. I have clients that will, pay in, installments and things like that. And I'm perfectly cool with that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some validity to that. I think that there's some untapped potential there. But again, the operational side of things is not the side that I excel at.
Right.
I'm great at having the ideas of them, but not necessarily knowing how to bring them to fruition.
Execute. Mm-hmm. Do you have, other than past managers and such, are there mentors in the industry that you can kind of go to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got.
But you're kind of at the level that you can do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From a personal branding standpoint, what else can you possibly, have you thought of other things that I guess, dare I say passive income? Because it's not really always all that passive.
Right.
Which, as much as some of the people out there selling courses on it might tell you, there's still work involved.
Right. And as much fun as it sounds like, and it's kind of the thing with the space next door is, I've got it set up so that I ideally would make some passive income off of it.
Right.
But that it also comes with the stress and the headache and the worry and all of the things and the extra inventory and all of that. So, I am fortunate that I do have a lot of fantastic mentors in the industry that I can call at any time and be like, hey, so what do you think of this?
Right.
And they're going to think about the parts of it that I don't, because again, the operational stuff is not my jam, but
see, I would imagine that even like with your talents, a lot of your, I guess, secondary, tertiary income streams derive from instruction, training,
correct,
things of that nature going, because your superpowers are what? Color, your knowledge of coloring. What else? Help me
relationships.
out. Relationship
My superpowers are color and relationships.
Okay.
I firmly believe, and I tell my girls this all the time, that what I actually physically do with hair is only about 10 to 15% of why people come back. And I could ask any single one of my clients, hey, I have an idea. Can I try something new on you? And they're like, yeah, sure. Well, what if you hate it? It's fine. You'll fix it. Yeah. Because I've built that relationship and that trust between me and that person that they know I'm not going to let them be unhappy.
Right.
And so, yeah, my superpowers, hair color and building a relationship. Absolutely.
Does that, as you get better, you're the queen of your castle? Does that mean that Sherri is the premium priced product?
I don't know that I am the premium priced product, or if,
because it's your talent that they're buying,
right?
And your relational.
I would say,
ability.
but I think it's the relational. I think that it's the space as a whole.
Right.
I think that people are a lot more comfortable coming into the place that I'm currently in. It's small. There's 4 chairs there. Everybody there loves each other and cares about each other. And I think that there's a huge value in that on top of what I provide as my services. Yeah.
What about like online courses, virtual courses?
Yeah, I knew we were going to get into that.
Yeah. Because a couple of years ago we had a harebrained idea.
We did. And I still think that's an awesome idea.
A braiding course.
Because I used to do it in the salon. I had a course that people would come in on the weekends and bring their children, and I would teach them different ways to style their kids' hair. And I still think that there's a lot of potential there, but again, I'm not the social media. That's not my wheelhouse, and it's not something that I'm comfortable delving into. So because of that, I tend to not really ponder it. If I can do it hands-on in front of people or with people, that's one thing. But to talk to a camera, it's very, very weird to me.
No, just be yourself on camera. You don't need to talk to a camera. You can talk. Of course, you talk to the camera, but
right?
I mean,
but
with somebody behind the camera showing you the ropes and how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I might know somebody.
You might.
Yeah.
I wonder who that could be.
But there's something there. It's like similar to Rich and I. Because I mean, I think I've heard you say this. I've heard a lot of people say this, especially when it comes to starting a podcast. Well, why would I do it if everybody else is doing it? And what's so special about me? And I would say, well, I get what you're saying, but if every salesperson out there said that,
right,
they wouldn't go into sales. I mean, well, why would I go into car sales if everybody, there's thousands of other guys and girls around this area that are doing the same thing? I'm in a crowded market. I'm like, but I get what you're saying. It's not you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an element of
self-branding.
Right.
Yeah.
Personal branding.
Yeah.
That people automatically, are drawn to you. They like you. You have those deep relationships with people. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking even I talk to Rich all the time about this, his ability to chart out a song is something incredible to watch, at least to me. Mm-hmm. And that's what gets him, premium rates and things of that nature, and doing what he does for a living. And it really efficientizes, that's even a word, his process on how he does the recording and touring and surprise gigs and stuff like that. He could chart out a song in a couple of, less than a minute or so and be able to be good to go. For me, I would have to listen to it over and over and over again. So I approached him. I said, dude, what if we did a course? Mm-hmm. He's like, well, there's so many things out. I said, but it's not yours.
Right.
Right? Is that kind of the same thing with you? I mean, have you considered something like that? Maybe a coloring course or something like that, even though everything is kind of standard, but it's not you,
Right. And I have thought about that, not necessarily in coloring, because the company that I educate for gives the educators a lot of freedom to teach the way that they want to.
Right.
There's structured content, but we're allowed to present it in a fairly flexible way. But again, the tips and the tricks and the ins and the outs of
right.
all of the little things I think are important to learn.
But are they taking that course material and then selling it online? Are they documenting it, or are you doing it live?
It is documented. I do it live.
Right.
And, in 2020, we all had the option to do it via Zoom or Teams or whatever all of those are. I chose not to because I don't want to talk at a camera all day.
Right.
But I don't know. I know our cutting teams have an entire library that you can subscribe to get the different cuts and the different styles and things like that. Right. I don't know that we have anything in the coloring side yet.
Well, something there.
Right.
Especially if you're the one and you make an agreement with the company that, hey, everything you download and sell, I get a piece of.
Right.
Because that's mailbox money right there. Mm-hmm. That's actually true passive income. Once it's done, you just got to promote it.
Absolutely.
But so if you had to really pursue, of course, relationship building, you can do a whole course on that, on proper etiquette and things of that nature. But as far as the technical side, you could do a whole course on coloring if need be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do a whole course on coloring in my sleep, probably.
Right.
But yeah.
That's something to think about.
It is.
Maybe that's what we need to do. The braiding thing is, I liked it because it could be a video series, and then if somebody wants to come to the live events, that's a premium.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I've always thought it was a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
The actual doing it is weird to me.
Right.
Yeah.
What was our split on that? Was it 60-40 or 50-50?
I don't remember. I think it was 50-50.
If you had to go back and tell yourself in 2005 something very key, what would it be? Because you're dealing with people that have been in your shoes constantly.
Mm-hmm. I think, there's a couple of things. I mean, one of them is pay your dues. And I think that sounds so old and antiquated, but with the...
That's what you would tell yourself? You already knew that back then, right?
Or that's what I would tell somebody who was that age. What I would tell myself back then is to trust my instincts.
Right.
To stop waiting to do things because I was scared of what the outcome was going to be, or that I was scared that I wasn't going to make it. I worked 3 jobs at one point in time. I can do this.
Right.
I've got this. We're talking about the word relentless.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I was relentless until probably 2 years ago. Up until then, it was just do what you got to do. I didn't know that was
Why not? Why did it take you so long?
Because that's just who I was, or who I am.
Up to 2 years ago?
Probably 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah.
How did you come across that realization?
I don't remember the exact instance, but I remember saying to someone, because something had gone wrong somewhere, an order had gotten lost or something, and I was like, okay, well, we're just going to pivot and figure it out. They were like, what do you mean? Like, we're in a tragedy, like the world is falling, Chicken Little. And I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
We're fine. We just got to pivot and figure out how else it works.
My business partner recently, we went over all of our employee handbook. We had a whole big team meeting about last week, and we went through our core values, and he added one. I think it's basically, he says, it's nothing is a crisis.
Correct.
Yeah. I think that's the gist of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if you were able to go back in time and tell yourself, how much farther you think you would have been by now? If you acted upon the things that kept you back.
I mean, I might be a bit farther than I am now.
I think you'd be a lot farther.
But I also don't think that I would be as happy as I am now. Like, I think that I needed to learn all of the relationship stuff and all of the stuff that was important to me.
Right.
Because otherwise I feel like I would have turned out more rigid and more and less caring about what I'm doing and more caring about the money instead of me just loving my life.
So that's an interesting concept as well. I see there's 2 different people that go into entrepreneurial efforts. Mm-hmm. Some of them are driven by, I just want to have the freedom. I want to be able to do something that's meaningful to me, that mm-hmm. stirs my purpose. And I'd like to fulfill that purpose. And then other people want to chase the big bucks.
Right.
Right. That's typically what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
So you essentially, and again, another parallel that I draw on this, those who want to get into speaking or do that kind of a thing for a living,
mm-hmm.
sometimes they'll come to me and ask for advice. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to be a public speaker. Okay. Is that the driving motivation? Right. Or are you going to build something that around a concept
right.
that creates a gravitational pull and attracts a community? And then by proxy, the speaking engagements come because of that.
Right.
Because of what you believe in. Mm-hmm. Similar kind of concept. I mean, that's
absolutely
what you've done.
I do this because I love it and because I want to be a part of this community. I'm invested in my clients. I am struggling this year because, and you're aware, so many people from when we first moved here and when I first started working here have kids who are turning into adults this year.
Right.
Kids that I gave their first haircuts to.
Yeah.
Kids that I did their hair for their first dances, all of that. And that's a struggle for me because I'm invested in these people.
Yeah.
And so, that's probably where the I'm old is coming from. But I think that, being in this and going out on my own and still being in it because I love it and because I love the people that I work for, and I work for them. They're my bosses. They're the ones that are paying me. The money has come because the focus has been building with these people.
Right.
And those are the same people who promote me. Those are that's where my book is coming from. That's where me being busy every single day.
Are you writing a book?
No, my book, my book of clients.
Yeah.
James.
So, I mean, but you have such the potential for a powerful personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why not, pursue it? Even though you don't want to get involved in the weeds of, okay, what content do I put out there? Yada, yada, yada. But even getting into like an agency or something that can help you do all that.
Well, and it's funny because we're kind of starting that now, where my intern has a secondary internship at the company that her mother works for, and she's working with the social media managers and all of that for that company. And she's kind of wanting to start using my space as the baby of her learning how to create content, how to promote, how to do all of that.
So she has a bent for it. She has a hunger.
Yes, and she's good at it.
Let her chase it.
I'm letting her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, if you want to come in and take the videos and take the pictures and turn them into something, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Do it. Because I'm never going to be the one that's like, hey, let's make a TikTok reel. No.
Right.
I mean,
I completely understand that. I feel like my old feeling is the fact that I am not as creative as I used to be. But then again, I've been out of that field for a long time, out of radio.
well, and I think that part of it, and I know that this is going to sound, ridiculous, but I think that part of it for me is that I like that the new people that I get are coming from the people that I have.
Right.
They know me. They know my personality. They know my work style. They know I cuss a little. And they're not going to send me anyone that's not going to be a fit or be close to a fit for the culture that I have in that space. And I feel like getting absolute strangers off of the internet or off of social media or whatever that looks like provides the opportunity to maybe not have the best fit personality-wise.
Yeah.
Because I do have a strong personality. I know you're shocked.
You're type A.
Do you think I am?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I never thought I was type A.
I mean, it's your dominant personality for sure.
Mhm, I am a dominant personality. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy that. And that social media isn't important to me, because it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It's not something that I stress out because I don't need to continue to build my books. I'm getting people from the people that I love. And so because it's not important to me, I kind of don't make it a priority. And I should. I know that. But
being an influencer in that space, in that industry, will become easy to you now.
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially becoming a destination workplace, building it out and attracting. Because, I mean, that's similar to like what the real estate agents, the podcasts that I produce for them, they want to attract more bees to the hive, i.e. more realtors to the brokerage. So if you looked at it that way, like you're a brokerage, an ultimate training ground, think of how many chairs you could have. You know what I mean? And a lot of it's duplicating yourself. So it's a scalable business using the Sherri Hildreth model of styling and coloring and things of that nature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's, I mean, is there ever a day that you're going to want to not do hair? And just kind of, I mean, because that's the thing is that, having a business that's turnkey, we were just talking about this with a friend of mine this morning. A lot of people when they want to be self-employed, they go into it thinking they're going to make their own hours. They're going to be able to be the master of their domain. And it's like, nothing is farther from the truth.
That is so not true.
You still have bosses like you mentioned before.
Yeah. I'm still answering to somebody else's schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
So making them understand that, look, a lot of people doing this own a job. That's what it is.
Yes.
You, my friend, have the opportunity to have a business that sustains itself. You've attracted a lot of the people that come to you want you to cut their hair.
Right.
But what if you started duplicating your stylings, and I use that, in the sense of
as the overall
your practice, and shape mini Sherris.
Well, and that's kind of the goal with the assistants. Right. The one that it's funny because the one that I have now, I was talking to her the other day about starting to look at the way that she applies color and the way that, making sure that she's doing it correctly and all of that, so that when I'm out of town or, if somebody needs in that I don't have time for, she can start kind of taking my overrun. And she was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be your assistant. I love learning from you. I love working with you. I know I came here to learn how to be a stylist, but I just want to shadow you.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean,
how long has she been in it?
Well, so she's been licensed since 2020.
Right.
But that also means she went to beauty school via Zoom because everything went out of being in person. So
right.
She's been licensed for going on 4 years now, but she hasn't had any in-salon experience per se. So she's been with me for 6 months. She's fabulous. Like, I truly adore her. But it's probably going to be a little bit before she's comfortable skill-wise, moving beyond just the basics.
Which is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But eventually it's also letting them know that, look, your aspiration in life should not be being my assistant.
Right.
You know?
I know it's fun. I have a great time working with you. But, our goal is to move you forward and help you build a career that you can sustain.
Yeah.
And then you can work in the chair next to me and pay me rent.
But I mean, what is that? So building that all up, especially if they have a bountiful business for themselves, the inescapability of what you do is the fact that you've got such a book of business that what happens when you want to start ramping down? You know what I mean?
Right. And
which is going to happen. You're going to want to do more traveling.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the balance of what we're starting to do now is as we start working on her skill, she can start taking I don't want to say the easier clients, because it's not necessarily that they're easier clients, but they're easier skills.
Right.
I've got quite a few clients who come in every 2 weeks and just get, their roots retouched and a blow dry.
Right.
That's something that once I know that her timing and her skill level is there, she can take those on days that I'm not working and start building up her book that way. My last assistant does a lot of the children of my clients.
Right.
Gave them their first highlights. And as they've grown, they've become clients of hers, so that she's building her book off of me being able to still sustain mine. Right. Yeah.
And at the same time, you're running around training people and they're leaning on you for stuff. So is there, again, getting back to the 10-year question, have we defined a vision more?
We have. Ideally, in my head, which is always a fun place to be. It's like a circus up there. But it's building out the little spaces for people to work together and build what they want.
What about even product launching, things of that nature?
I haven't really thought about product launching. I love the line that I carry. I love the line that I work with.
We'll give them a shout out. It's Avedas?
It's Devon S.
Devon S.
Devon S.
Okay.
I've
never heard of them.
They're a family-owned line out of Italy.
Okay.
And and they
brought you over there yet?
They have not. They just brought me to the Dominican Republic. I just got back the night before the rain.
That you're good at. You show your pictures of all the places
all the places I go. Yeah.
That don't help you build your business. It looks like you're playing all the time. Which is fine.
Right. And it was wonderful. It was the first time in the 20 years that they've been in North America that they got the sales and the education team all together in one place for all of North America.
Right.
And it was wonderful. We had the artistic directors, we had the CEO, we had all the things for a couple of days. I won a trip to Germany while we were there.
Nice.
They do a hair show somewhere different in the world every year. It's called Worldwide Hair Tour. And I won a team building thing, and there was a ticket to Worldwide Hair Tour in there. So I get to do that this year.
Right.
But yeah, they're a fantastic company. I love the line. They're based around sustainable beauty. They're a certified B Corporation. All of the wonderful things for the world that you want it to be. So,
do they have is there distribution and everything set over here?
There is. Solidly? So, I work for a distributor. I'm contracted through the distributor to teach. Shout out to Modern Salon Services. They're amazing. And then, they're all over the country, and that's who they are all getting together, is the sales reps from all the distributions and then all the educators.
But how do you get involved with that where you're now a voice, like a brand ambassador? You know what I mean? I'm looking for different avenues to monetize that, sustain you, as we get into our 50s.
Right.
Because Courtney may not know this or agree with it.
She's gonna know now.
Idea for, going into our 50s, man, I want to get an RV. I want to see the country. If I become part of a Huey Lewis and the News tribute band, I'll have my drums in the basement of the RV and,
Oh, I can't wait to come see you play.
Go to the gigs. They just played here at 3rd and Lindsley this past Saturday night. So they're well established. I just had them on the podcast a couple of days last week.
Awesome. I'm telling you, you've got to go see that band that I was telling you about earlier.
What's it called?
8-track band. And they're playing East Side Bowl on February 9th.
Well, this may come out after that, but
Yeah. Well, and you'll be going to New York that weekend.
We're going to be, I think we're going to be in New York that weekend.
You will be, because I'll be watching your kids.
That's a Friday.
It is a Friday.
Okay.
Yep.
Because the 11th is the Super Bowl.
Yes.
You're sticking around and hanging out with the Super Bowl with us or what?
I have no idea. I'm going to your house for dinner to find out. I'm talking to your wife
tonight. That's right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, very cool. I forgot about that.
So I'm gonna corrupt the other two.
That's fine.
I don't.
I was thinking the other day, I'm not sure how much more you can corrupt them. They've pretty much done it to themselves the past 5 years.
Well,
damn internet. Not that they're corrupted. They're good. What are we doing for like dinner for them? Do we know?
Tonight.
Let's talk about it. No, while we're away, it's like, it dawned on me yesterday. I go, Courtney's like, so do they think they're eating out every night, or what are we doing? Are we making pre-made meals because it's a lot cheaper to do it that way?
Right, but I mean, they're gonna be with Auntie Sherri. They might be just eating out every night. Who knows? We'll see what looks like fun.
Yeah, that gets expensive.
I know,
especially with Spencer. He's like, oh, I know I just had Sonic. Let's order it again with have ice cream. That's what he does.
That happens.
So, moving forward, got a lot of food for thought.
Yeah, very much so.
I think that I've always I've always seen the outside of your bottle and saw the potential in what you do. I'm like, oh my gosh, you could be doing this, you could be doing this, and this. And it's like, you're going to jump when you're ready, good and ready.
Absolutely.
But again, you're also a big appreciator of having the patience for time to play itself out to learn the things you need to learn.
Right.
That's actually a good title for this. So even if you were to go back to yourself in 2005, you'd still, pay attention to these things. The timing of everything's going to work out.
Yep.
Would you have made the jump to be like what you're doing now a little bit earlier at all? Because, how long were you thinking about that?
It's funny because as soon as week 4 was over and everything was stabilized, I was like, man, I should have done this forever ago.
Right.
I should have done this
but
years
how long
ago.
ago?
I don't know.
From that point.
Probably 5 years before that. I should
So you would have jumped in 13.
Had I known that I was going to be okay, absolutely. Yeah. Do I think that had I jumped in 13, would have been okay? Probably not.
Right.
I was still growing up and learning what was a priority to me and what I wanted out of my life.
That makes sense. I had a harebrained idea to do my own thing in 13. Mm-hmm. I got out of radio. That was my exit from radio year. Mm-hmm. I went and worked for another company before I jumped into the car business. The other company came out of nowhere, hired me, gave me everything I wanted, lasted 2.5 months. First job I was ever fired from. And I came home and I was like, I could probably do my own thing. And Courtney was like, no, you need to go into the car business. I'm not sure. I'm not emotionally prepared for that yet. And I'm like, you're right. I ended up going to the car business, but ended up being one of the best educational experiences of my life.
Absolutely.
Gave me much more confidence in my own skin. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if you know this about me. I lived with a tremendous amount of bad self-esteem in my 20s, 30s, because I never had a college degree.
Right.
Yeah. Did you have that as well?
I did, and it's funny because one of probably my favorite conversations that I've had in the last 5 years or so with clients is one of my longtime clients, and I absolutely adore the whole entire family. He has 2 children. One has graduated from college, and one is about to graduate from college this year. And he had come in one day, and we were talking and laughing, and he got real serious all of a sudden. And he's not generally a serious person. And I'm like, what's going on? And he says, I really wish I would have encouraged my kids to follow what makes them happy. Right. He's like, look at you. He's like, I've never once come in here and seen you stressed out, or, even if it's chaotic and there's 15 people in here, you're still happy to be here. My daughter's, and she was a freshman in college at the time, she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, but she's going here because this is my alma mater, and this is where her brother went, and so this is the steps we expected her to follow. This is
what's expected of you?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, and I kind of wish I would have said, what do you actually want to do?
Right.
And, I'm super fortunate that, my parents were always like, you do you.
Yeah.
You be the spicy whirlwind you want to be.
Right.
Because
there's an element of brilliance to that.
There is.
Yeah, because you got to be open to the fact of whatever the kid wants to do. Mm-hmm. That's their thing. That was the thing with me. Yeah. My parents were like, "What are you doing? Radio? What the heck is this?"
Right.
But that was me.
Yeah. And I really feel like that conversation with that client healed a lot of that kind of imposter syndrome. Like, I can't be successful because I didn't have a college degree, when he's wishing that he hadn't pushed his kids so far that was the only option.
Yeah.
And he's an
How long
extraordinary.
ago did that happen?
Probably, since 2018, since I've been where I'm at now.
So you had not an imposter syndrome, but a bad self-esteem.
Based on the whole, I don't have a college degree.
Right.
And I do hair.
Yeah. Double strike.
Yes.
You're in part of a trade.
I
Clutch
know.
my pearls.
Right?
I'm a huge proponent.
Clearly, I have no intelligence.
I actually encourage the trades more than I ever thought I have.
I do too.
I ever would.
I do too. And there's such a demand for them.
There is a tremendous demand for them. We are really at a shortage, especially in the electrical trades, the plumbing, and all the trades. Guys, if you're listening to this and your kid, you're just hell bent on your kid going to college, if they have a little bit of a bent for a trade, lean into that, because there's an element of you're going to have to ask yourself, why do you want them to go? Is it more important to you or them? That's the question to ask. And there's a huge truth to feeling like a failure as a parent. My failure will be is if my kids get into their 20s and they still have no idea who they are.
See, I don't think that would be a failure, because none of us know who we are in our 20s.
But not who they are, but I mean, at least like mid-20s. I always tell my kids, your 20s are for falling on your face,
Yes.
eating dirt.
Yep.
It's going to be a challenge. You're not really, it's like, middle school all over again to a certain extent. You don't really know where you fit in.
Yeah.
There are expectations of you that aren't really fair or very well thought out. There's a whole notion that people from 20 to 37, 40, it's the most miserable part of their lives.
Oh, yeah. I know that I was in my late 20s, early 30s before I ever remembered, like, taking a deep breath and being okay with where I was headed.
Right.
Because you just, your 20s are terrible. It's like being,
it really is like middle school again, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not so much, it wasn't like that for me, because I was already well into my radio journey, and I was established. My confidence came from the fact that I was a pretty big fish in a small pond in Connecticut. Then I made the jump to Vegas. I was a very small fish in a
huge pond.
Our ocean.
Yes.
But that quickly righted itself. I became very influential in my abilities, and then, called upon to help in other areas of the building within about 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Because I just sunk my teeth into it. It was my thing. It was in my DNA. That really, and of course, being around the better talent made me a better person, maybe a better at what I did. That's the key, man. But I mean, it didn't occur to me until we came back for a visit to Connecticut, and my brother-in-law was marrying, who is now my sister-in-law now, but at the time, she was in my graduating class in high school. And she did all the, quote, right things and all. Yes. And she was having we weren't really part of the same circle in high school. We knew of each other. We were always in the same homeroom because of our last names. She was always part of the preppy crowd. And I was always just, I was nebulous. I went around and I had, the mullet, the trench coat, listen to whatever music kind of tickled my fancy. I mean, it would just secretly be maybe some of the hip hop at the time, but I couldn't admit it. Now I just don't care. But I was more of a rock metal guy, right? So music is what really shaped
Me too.
who you were in high school. We go to this party that she had, inviting all these people that I was always, familiar with them, but never part of their circles. One of them happened to be the class president. And he and I get talking, and how have you been? It's been a long time. It was like a 10 years high school reunion almost. He said, what are you doing? I said, we're visiting out here. We live in Vegas now. I work for Infinity Radio, for a group of radio stations out there. And, money's not all that great, but, I wake up every morning and I love it. It's just a lot of fun. And he goes, I wish I could say that.
Right.
And why? Oh, I did the whole college thing. I got the corporate job. I make decent money, but I hate getting up every day.
And that's just it. Like,
gosh.
Why are you chasing someone else's dream?
Right.
Find
out who you are.
Right.
Right.
And make all of the mistakes to figure it out.
Because
I kind of feel like that's, for me, it's a big thing is find out who you're not.
Ooh.
Find out where your hard lines on who you're not willing to be is.
When did you feel like you really realized that?
Probably 2015 when I left the corporate salon.
Wow.
And I was very much like, absolutely not. This is not who I want to be. This is not the life I want to live.
Right. Wow. Mm-hmm. It's like you got to wonder if we're going to start moving the pendulum the other way.
Right.
What's the opposite side of too far gone of where we are? Too many entrepreneurs out there that are failing.
Right.
Way overconfident.
Trying to hire people who are used to not having a boss.
I mean, maybe the white collar jobs aren't needed all that much as we thought they were.
Well, but it's also one of those things. I feel like the reason why there's nobody in trades right now is because our parents, my parents we're both tradesmen, pushed so hard. Go to college so you don't have to work this hard.
Right.
Go to college so that you're not having to work these hours. You're not having to do these things and all of that. And so our parents wanted us to go, and so many of our generation went to college because our parents wanted better for us, not really realizing that 40 years from then, or 30 years from then, or 20 years from then, whatever, that was going to be the drag. That was going to be the, ants marching. Well, those of us who didn't are the ones who are dancing and laughing and having a good time.
And at the time when I was doing it, I didn't realize I was doing that.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't realize I was forging my own path. I mean, it really does. Even with my brother, he kind of followed the path. He always wanted to be a musician. I've been harping on him lately. Now that you're in your 50s, dude, do all the things you wanted to do.
Right.
Okay. If you wanted to play on a big stage, be a part of a touring act, you got somebody here in Nashville who can plug you in. You're definitely technically good enough. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of getting known.
Absolutely.
So, I've been harping on him to come down here and do that. And it's like, dude, one kid's in college, the next kid's ready to go. You're almost done. This is the
What's
second.
stopping you?
Go, do it.
Yeah. Leap of faith. Let's go.
That's right.
All the fun things happen when your heart's beating fast.
You got quotable quotes all over the place.
I tell people that all the time.
How do people find and follow you?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram.
You don't even know your own damn sig. You need a link tree or something.
I probably do. But I don't know how to set one of those up.
It's not that hard.
I'm Sherri Hildreth Hair and Sherri Hildreth on Instagram. I'm Heart and Sass on TikTok.
That's my why Heart and Sass?
Because that's what I got, baby. Lots of heart and a little bit of attitude.
You got to brand your name.
I know.
Would it be Sherri Hildreth moving forward, you think? If you became a mega brand, personal brand? Influencer?
I don't even like that word.
I know. And it's a self-anointed word, which is kind of annoying. But I mean, it's like, look, I'm just here to share information and give value as best I can.
Right. I want to be a coach. I want to be a mentor. I don't want to be an influencer.
Right. Well, that by proxy, you're influencing.
Yeah. It's the word. It's so
overused.
Teeny bopper.
It's like authentic.
Yes.
Authentic is way overused and it's been bastardized.
And literally.
I literally flew out the door. No, you didn't.
Did ya?
And irregardless.
Oh, that one annoys me. And unthawed. You don't unthaw anything unless you're throwing it back in the freezer.
Wow. That's a thing.
That is a thing.
Wow. Never thought about that one.
Yeah, you thought.
Never thought about that one.
All right.
All right. We're going to wrap it up. Right. For all those things, make sure that we'll put all your contact links in the description, as we always do for all of our guests.
And I will make a branded one for TikTok.
You really should.
I will.
You could do so many cool, like, what cool things could you do on TikTok because there's so much there are electricians out there that are doing entertaining videos on TikTok and have massive audiences. Well, there's got to be, this is a no-brainer for you.
Yeah, there's so many. We actually just got a camera for the salon for this because one of the things that we've been talking about is starting a a series on the conversations we have with clients that are ridiculous.
Ooh, I got a freaking idea. My gosh, this is the whole point of conversation.
Yes.
Is creative.
Well, and this all started with a client of mine. Hey, Amanda. We got into superstitions.
Yeah.
You know, the old wives' tales that people follow. And one of the things that she said is that it's bad luck to put shoes on a bed. And while I'm not typically like coming home from work and tossing my shoes on my bed, when I'm packing for a trip, I'll put my shoes with my outfit before I put them in the suitcase. And now I can't.
Yeah.
Now they're all lined up on my nightstand next to my bed because I feel like it's going to be bad luck. I had never heard that before. And now it's fundamentally part of who I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff happens all the time in your
All
conversation?
the time. And so I want to be able to record them and post them as these are the things that change who you are without realizing that you're changing who you are. And that's why it's so important for me to have the fun and the culture that I have in that salon, is because things like that happen daily.
So if you put a camera that's recording, not almost like a security camera, like what I have up there, that Ring camera.
That's what I've got. It's one of those, yeah.
Right. You just got to get present audio. You got to get a mic drop down so people can hear you better.
I'm going to have to talk to somebody I know about that.
I know. I always think logistics.
Right? And I don't.
So wow, that's interesting, because that could almost be a podcast.
Yeah.
Put some lavaliers on you and your guest, and off you go. Forget that they're there. Mm-hmm. And just got to get their permission to be on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, that's in a lot of the stories I tell with my guests, or that my guests have told me, they're always, yes, you can tell, just don't use my name.
Right.
Especially if it's something ridiculous. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you got into the video production side and wanted to put things out there like that, you can blur their faces and all that stuff. But I'm not sure. I mean, it might cross a line, but it's certainly interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm getting ready to start. I've got a thing from corporate, a box of color called the palette that's been sent to me, that I get to create some looks for, and there's a QR code on it and send them back in for them to use in marketing, use some of my images and things like that. So we're going to start filming for that too, probably next week.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah. Do
an unboxing video.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
It was weird.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So there you go. Follow us if you like the episode, and would please share it out.
Absolutely.
Let's help Sherri become the social media baroness that she is born to be. Baroness.
Baroness.
That's right.
I like it.
There's a lot of potential there.
Absolutely.
Follow us at MMTBP.com, otherwise known as Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.com, but shorter with MMTBP.com. Tell your friends about it right there on the actual website, which is a link tree. There's a link for those people who want to be a guest. They can certainly apply. We'll look it over and everything, and if it's a good match, we'll get them on. We'll make it happen. But all those things that you can find and follow are right there. Sherri, always a pleasure.
You too, Jim.